Welcome, everyone. How many of you guys, this is the first time you've been here? Well, welcome. We're glad you're here. So, for any of you who don't know, the reason we gather together on Tuesdays is to talk about health and choices and what we can do about all that. And we just really like having a safe place here where you can come and be around like-minded people who have made a choice to do something different in their life. And we surround it with a bunch of material to help support you on your journey, because that's really what it's about, is choosing to get on a new path and then filling your mind and your heart and your body with good things to get you where you want to go. So for those of you who have started the program already, you probably have heard about Dr. Wayne Anderson, and he's the one that wrote the book Habits of Health that we use as our companion in this process. And what my husband Tony and I have told all of our clients as they get started is, when you get your box of food, your first order that first week, you get home, we tell them, go home, rip that thing open, and when you get a box of Cracker Jacks or cereal and it has a prize in it, well, the prize is the books. It's not about the food. It's about the books and what's in there and what's about to take place inside of you as you approach this new season of your life. And I know, how many of you guys have been on a yo-yo diet before, where you tried something, you lost a little weight, gained, lost a little bit more, gained more, that's not an uncommon scenario. And that's really what this program gives you, the power to not do that again, but to hang on to your health coach and even let them believe for you until you can believe for yourself. I couldn't believe past 5 pounds because I had never successfully lost weight and kept it off. And 3.5 years ago, I lost 50 pounds and have kept it off since then. And it has truly been transforming to me. I was telling Amanda that I didn't realize how many things were wrapped up in food and my weight issue until it started to be released 1 pound at a time. And I found myself. I found somebody that I always would have said, oh, I'm really shy, or, there are personality things there too, but I was isolating because I didn't want to be visible. And so anyway, it's just really cool when you can start to uncover things one little step at a time, and maybe there's something down there that you didn't know was there or you haven't seen for a long time. So tonight is week 3, and it doesn't really matter where you come in. If you miss a week here and there, or if you come on week 3, it doesn't just build one step at a time. You can glean things out of each section that we go through. And what we encourage you to do is really dig into your homework at home, because that's going to be what changes you on the inside while you're changing on the outside. And so really, if you haven't opened that package yet and that book sitting there with the cellophane on it, go home tonight and rip it open and read the foreword and the preface in that book as quick as you can, and make it part of your regular life, because it's really going to serve you well. Even if it's just a paragraph a day, just give yourself some tidbit. So week 3 is about choices, and really that gives us the power to own this. It's not about somebody else telling you what to do. I'm sure we've all been told our whole lives, do this, don't do that, here's the right way to live, here's the right choice to make for you. But really, unless something comes from inside of us, it's not going to be long lasting. So that's really what we want to empower you to do by looking at this section tonight. And so week 3 is chapter 4 in the Habits of Health. And along with the Habits of Health, there's a companion guide. I don't have one up here, but there's the book. And then there's a companion guide where you have lots of space to work it out. There's questions, there's places for you to fill stuff in. It's not designed to be any right or wrong answer. It's designed for you to go through and get to know yourself and figure things out. So it's lessons 6 and 7 in the companion guide. And then there's also a DVD series that is really helpful. It shows actually a health coach and a client just talking through the same material that's in the book. And so some of us are more visual learners, some are more auditory, some are more kinesthetic. You might be up jumping around while you're reading. If you're watching the DVD, you can do that. So this section is covered in all 3 of those places, and you'll probably enjoy all of them at a different level. There's also another resource, www.habitsofhealth.net. That is Dr. Anderson's website, and it is full of very cool things, resources, links to articles. He does blurbs that he just kind of posts out there every day or every week, and it's just short things that give you a really good booster shot just when you need it. And all the material for the class, there's a self-study course, which is what this course is designed around, but all the information is there in printed form, and you have access to download any of that. The health assessment, too, if you haven't taken that, that's in chapter 5 of the book, but there is a digital assessment there, too, that you can just take it actually online, and it'll spit the results out at you, and so that's really convenient. I'm going to read this because this is just golden. Most of us have been raised to react to circumstances. We haven't been taught to believe that we can adopt a fundamental, self-generated resolve. But in fact, that is how we take charge of our lives, by realizing that no matter what the circumstances, no matter what the temptation, we can do what we know is right because we have taken a stand for the choice we hold most important. And, it's not even what's right, big picture right. It's about what's right for you. Because we're all different, right? I can't make a decision for Claudia's health as though I would know what would be best for her or for her body or her circumstances. We all can look inside of ourselves and go, what do I really want for me? And that's a huge question to ask yourself, because weight loss, as most of us have seen, can come and go. But it's a matter of what you want for your health and for your life. So it's less about things like, oh, my pants really feel tight today, or I'm going to a class reunion in a month and I really want to be looking great. It's less about that, and it's more about who do I care about that I want to live a long time with and for and to enjoy. Like maybe my kids or my grandkids or my husband or my mom. Or how do I want to feel when I'm with those people? Do I want to sit in the car while my kids are out running around at the mall? Do I want to drop them off at the door because I'm too tired to walk inside? Those are the kinds of things that I would do. Honey, could you just run this in and drop it off to pay the electric bill for me because I don't know why, just go, But, those kinds of things where I found myself being less and less wanting to move because I was heavier and heavier. And when I realized that there was an option for me, my heart opened again, and there had been a long time where I felt like there wasn't an option for me. This is just going to be how it was going to be, and I had to be okay with it. And I always want to mention that our value is clearly on the inside of us. This body is just a shell. It's just a carrying case to get us through this life. Our value is who we are on the inside. But many times our value is lost. We let it be lost because we are hiding. We're ashamed. We're sad. We don't feel good. A whole myriad of reasons. We hear voices, whatever people have said to us or teased us when we were little, all that stuff. But I want you to know that truth is that who you are on the inside is really who you are. But you can do something about the outside, and that's why you're here. So anyway, I love this direction to allow us to know how to make different choices so that we can end up someplace different in a month and a year and in 5 years than where we are today. So this section talks about the difference between problem solving and desired outcome. And I found this so true in my life, is that I would be in pain over something, physical pain, emotional pain, some kind of pain. And typically when we're in pain, we have that fight or flight response. So we do something, if you're touching a hot burner, you pull back, right, to get away from it. If you feel uncomfortable because your clothes are too tight or you don't want to move, like I was describing earlier, that might inspire you to do something. So typically in the health cycle, if people are struggling with being overweight, then that will lead to some sort of action. It could be overweight and then disease connected with it, diabetes, high blood pressure, a myriad of other things. And the action might either be, I need to do something to lose weight. What can I do? What diet is coming through town? Or it might be, go to the doctor. I need to get medications for that. It could be either direction of that. So it leads to some sort of action, and then the action typically leads to decreased weight or improved health. If you go on some sort of medication, you might feel a temporary or immediate relief from that. If you lose a little weight, you typically feel better pretty quick. And so then when the problem is improved, you go, well, I'm feeling a little bit better. And if you didn't change anything inside, you probably go right back to your other habits. Sometimes after a diet, ironically, you might go celebrate with a hot fudge sundae. And that's what we do in our culture, isn't it? We celebrate with food, and we love each other with food, so that's not an uncommon thing. Don't think you're the only one if you've done that. I think I used to think I was the only one, and then I'd hide even more because I thought nobody else gets what I'm going through. So the problem improves, less action, which leads to the problem again, and then you just keep going on this cycle. So you're problem solving. You're going around and around. Where what Dr. Anderson is recommending is that you do something that looks more like this. You look at, what do I really want my life to look like? Which is what I mentioned at the beginning. Discovering, why do I want to improve my health? And maybe not even talk about losing weight, but what do I want my health to look like? And just entertain, what would that look like? What would it feel like? Or what could I do if I had 5 less pounds than I do now, or 10 or 50? What would life be like for me? Well, I could, go to the park with my grandson and, maybe swing with him. Or, what could I even entertain doing that I wouldn't have entertained before? And then look at where I am currently. And sometimes that's really painful to do because we have to take an honest assessment of where we are and deal with it. And sometimes that might say, how did I get here? And really that matters a lot less than where you want to go now, because it doesn't matter, it is what it is at the moment. But if you honestly look at both of these places, then it's just a matter of, with your health coach is a good idea, to say, what do I need to do? What are my steps to get between here and here? But when you've let yourself go to, why do I want to do this? It really unleashes this new level of belief that you may not have ever experienced before, or you may not have for a long time, because you resigned yourself to, this is going to be how it is for me. And then, when you're on the program, the Take Shape for Life program, all of these steps are pretty much just laid out before you. It's a really easy program to follow. And when you're ready, it's amazing what happens. And we encourage people to either, if you're ready, that's awesome, go with it. And if you're not, then try and uncover what you could do to get ready. There's a question that we often ask people, and that is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how ready would you say you are? How motivated are you to start something? And if they say about a 5, then I would always ask, what would it take to get you to a 10? And they might say, or I'll say, why aren't you at a 10? Or, just something to uncover the question. And if it's, I just don't believe that I can do it. Or I've gained and lost so many times, I just feel like this will be another thing. Then it's a matter of saying, this is a different program, what do you really want? So it's kind of discovering what's limiting you from being a 10. Maybe you're just not used to saying I could do anything. And that's not uncommon either. So anyway, that once you establish all those steps, then you just get up every day and you just do it. And it's not a matter of being perfect, because we all fall down. We're all broken at some place in our lives. But then what do you do the next time? When you're down, what do? You get up. Or you can stay down, and we've all probably done that too, and that doesn't feel very good. So, and you surround yourself with people, even if it's just your health coach. You connect with somebody who is for you on this. And there's somebody, because you've connected with somebody who is your health coach, there's somebody who is that for you, and they might just have a story that's really similar to yours. Or they understand because they've helped a lot of other people do the same thing. So basically, in that whole picture, there are 3 types of choices: primary, secondary, and fundamental. And this is a funny quote by Mark Twain: "The only way to keep your health is to eat what you don't want, drink what you don't like, and do what you'd rather not." And that's not all you get to do. In fact, when I read that, I thought, oh, that's kind of discouraging. I really like a lot of the things we get to eat, so it's not all that bad. Christy?
What I think initially when we are trying to figure out what we're going to do and if we want to do something,
right,
we feel that way. But
right.
I think once we start to really get that fundamental choice, we start to find out that the things that we didn't want to eat before, we actually enjoy eating,
right, and
enjoy drinking and enjoy doing. So
right.
I think it turns a
right.
little bit. But it's true in the very beginning, because that's not what we want to do.
It's
but
saying
later
no.
It changes.
Exactly. And this kind of is, I think, what surrounds a lot of people. We get into that deprivation. Like, I know when Tony started the program, he went and had one last hurrah with an almond-covered, chocolate-dipped ice cream thing at Costco because he was so like, and then he found out they were 800 calories or something, and he went, oh my gosh, why did I do that? But it's like we are afraid we're going to be deprived, so we overdo it. And so really on this program, the cool thing, though, is that you're not deprived because you're eating every 2.5 to 3 hours. It's not about starvation. It's about fueling your body really well. So as far as choices go, let's see, I've lost. I thought there was another slide that had more about the choices. Anyway, the primary, I'm going to start at the bottom. Fundamental choices are the really big ones, the things that really matter most to you in life. Like, they might be more spiritual choices or what you really want to count for in this life, the biggies. And then primary choices are kind of smaller level things, what kind of health do I want to have? How do I want to invest in my family? What am I going to do for work? That kind of stuff, where it's more even coming back down to a day-to-day level choices. And then secondary choices are the things that you do to support your primary choices. So, for example, if I said, it's really important to me to be a really good parent and there for my kids. My younger ones are teenagers now. So to support that, my secondary choices might be, I want to be home in the afternoons and evenings when they're there. I will try to stay up late when they are awake so that I can have those important conversations with them. It's kind of the day-to-day things that are underneath important things. And the health choices are the same thing. So if your fundamental choice is, I want to reach the best optimal health that I can for me, then your primary choice might be, I want to lose 50 pounds. And I want to be able to walk a marathon. Then your secondary choices would be, what am I going to do today to get me to that place? If you're on the Take Shape for Life program, that would include, I'm going to drink at least 64 ounces of water a day. I'm going to eat every 2.5 to 3 hours the things that are on my plan. I'm going to, once you get to the point where you're introducing exercise, I'm going to walk for a block the first week, and then I'm going to add another one. It's really those, what am I going to do when I get up today? And I have found that if I set myself up for success by thinking about it ahead of time, I'm much more likely to follow my plan if I have a plan. When I don't have a plan, you never know what might happen. I may just end up in the kitchen all day long grazing, So that is really what is the beauty of our program, is it's designed in a way where you don't have to think very much. It's really, you can decide which foods you want because all of our foods have the same nutritional footprint. You don't have to eat, if you don't like breakfast foods, you don't have to eat breakfast foods. You can eat, I always say you can eat 5 brownies a day. I don't know if that's a very good way to think, but some days it might just be necessary. So anyway, you have a lot of freedom to choose, and it's just great to have a plan, especially we were talking about the first week. There's often a lot of big transitions that are going on just in terms of different choices. So it's good to set yourself up. And then what you may have found, how many of you guys have been on the program more than 2 months? Anybody? So you know how you get to that point and you're kind of on autopilot. You don't have to think about what it requires to have a lean meat anymore. You kind of know. But during the first few weeks, you're really having to refer back to your quick start guide. You're referring to your health coach a lot. You might be asking a lot of questions. You're reading a lot, and that's really good too. But there's just more information to take in at the beginning. Let's see what else. So this structural tension, this chart is in the workbook, and it gives you tons more detail about how to do all these things and tons more examples just about what it looks like to create that and make it specific to you. So let's just talk about some of the foundations of health. Healthy eating, that's a big one, but I think that's probably what caused some of us problems in the first place. I think I would say that I ate really healthy. I just ate too much really healthy. And, we all come from different places. We live in a really fast-paced, convenience world, and it's tricky to eat really in a really strong, healthy way. It takes a lot of work and effort. And if you back the clock up 50 years or 100 years when people were home, they were farming, life was much more designed around creating a healthy environment, creating a nutritious meal so that you could work hard. And now we don't physically work that hard, most of us, but we've increased our intake, which is what's caused all the challenges that we all have in the process. So just creating and figuring out what a healthy eating style is for you is a big part of it, and there's parts in Dr. Anderson's book that lead you right in that way. Healthy weight and what a normal waist size is for you. You've probably noticed on health insurance assessments or wellness kinds of things that the waist to hip ratio is a big deal now, because that is what they've discovered is an indicator of illnesses. If you have a lot of weight around your midsection, then that is much more dangerous than if you carry it, in your legs, because there are vital organs in the middle. And so that's just being aware of that. It motivates you to do it for the right reasons. I always thought my doctor was the enemy because he wanted me to get on the scale. I wouldn't go to the doctor because I didn't want to get on the scale. And I had lost the whole perspective that weight meant something for health, not that it just was my emotional challenge when I had to look at that number or hear them say it out loud or whatever. It's an indicator of something else. Also, having an active lifestyle, and it's sure much easier to be active when you feel like moving, when you're carrying, if you were walking through the grocery store carrying 2 10-pound bags of potatoes, what wouldn't you do to set those down as fast as you could? That's a lot of work, right? But when you think about every 10 pounds of weight you're carrying, you're carrying that everywhere you go. It's a lot of work, and it's tiring. It's hard for your body. Sleep has a lot to do with it, and relaxation, creating a microenvironment for health all around you, whether that's in what's available for you to eat at your house, or just the emotional climate of your house. The places that you are, creating that to be a really good, safe place for you. Well-being, purpose, spiritual health, all those things create a place for us to be fully healthy all the way around. It's much more than just eating and weight. And that's what you start to discover along the way. And I think for me, most of my adult life, I was fighting with weight, and that was all I could see. It was just this level of pressing up against something I couldn't accomplish, and so it never got any deeper than that. That was a short one. I think they cut some slides out. Anyway, I'm wondering if any of you guys have any whys that you would be willing to share in terms of if you're on the program or have started something, or just what inspired you to want to do something. Does anybody have anything they'd be willing to throw out there? Helen?
My goal was to get off my medication and go ahead and come on the program. And
To-
weight loss was a bonus.
To get off medication.
Get off
Yeah.
medication, that was my whole goal.
And did you feel could you feel that you were different because of the medications? Were they side effects or?
Definitely. After eating the food in the first 2 weeks, I broke my humerus bone, so Chris fixed my meals for me, and I sat on the couch and watched TV and lost 12 pounds.
She lost 12 pounds healing and watching TV, yeah.
Helen, for those that aren't familiar, tell us what your weight loss did in terms of your medication.
My weight loss, but
How many medications you were able
I was
to?
taking 8 different kinds for type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure, and it kept increasing.
Mm-hmm.
The day I started, and when I got off my medication, it had been almost 20 years.
Wow. So I'm going to repeat for anybody who's watching online. She's been on medications for 20 years, and there were 8 of them. Is that what you said? 8, and all of them? You're off of all of them now? Wow.
Every single one.
Wow.
And that's pretty close to 4 years, or yes, 4 years.
4 years. And how much did you lose overall?
I lost 75 pounds.
75 pounds. And did the medications come off gradually, one by one?
Well, I took them off in about 6 months.
After about 6 months, she was off of all of those. Wow, that's amazing. That's a huge transition in many.
Happy.
It made you happy, yeah. That's
Whatever
great.
gave you the thought at your age that you could get off medications? What made you think that?
Well, I had heard about the program on the radio, and I don't drive at night because my eyes are not that good. And so when Chris came home and he got on the program, and I wanted to get on it. And that was my goal, because I did not want to be shooting myself with insulin.
Hmm.
Not my plan at all.
She did not want to be shooting herself with insulin. Yeah.
And now my goal is to stay out of the nursing homes and be able to take care of myself the rest of my life.
You're doing a good job. She wants to stay out of nursing homes and take care of herself the rest of her life.
And I will be 80 years old this year.
80 years old. Wow. It's amazing. Thanks for sharing that. Any other whys that anybody would share? Well, I can tell you that mine was, at the beginning, wasn't a deep level why. We were going on a 25th anniversary trip, and we were going to Hawaii. So, why do you go to beach places if you don't want to be on the beach, right? You want to be warm, but, it was just that angst every time summer would come around, or this time of year where you're starting to bring out your new wardrobe, and it represents to me the emotions well up in me, because I remember every year how I would feel when I would pull out summer clothes and maybe they didn't fit, and they did last year, or I never would even consider wearing shorts. It just wasn't even on my radar, and that was, it was a weight. that nobody could bear except for me. And so every time something like that comes around now, it reminds me of when we moved up here. We lived in the desert in Arizona for a lot of years. And the first summer we moved here, it was only 105 here. And it was about 130 where we lived. And that whole year, that summer, Tony and I laughed when we go to bed and put blankets on, because we hadn't done that in the summer for years. And it reminds me of that. Every time I experience a new season comes and I'm not struggling with what I've struggled with for all of my adult life and even into my childhood, it's like this fresh new person has come out, and it's amazing. So I would just encourage any of you guys, if that's where you are, if you're having trouble figuring out what could be your why, or how to make a fundamental choice to do something, or if you can't even entertain that, but you believe just enough, maybe you saw somebody's before and after pictures, or your health coach transformed right in front of your eyes, and you just have enough to believe that maybe something can change for you. Just hold on to that, because it truly can. And then that prize is the reading materials. And if you get into this and you really go and do underneath the surface, figure out what's connected with food for you. I figured out so many things that when I was sad, I would eat. When I was angry, I would eat. When I was bored, or I'm not usually bored, but I might have to do something that I'd really rather not do. And I still find myself, I'm standing in the kitchen. What am I doing here? Oh, there's some bills that need to be paid, or taxes had to be worked on, or something that I really would rather not do. Well, it's easy to go stand and eat or cook something, or it's like your brain can turn off and you can avoid whatever that thing is. But that was really insightful for me to get underneath that and to go, you know what, I am in charge of that. It's okay, I can not want to do that, and eventually some things like taxes do have to be done, but I might find a better time for me. But instead of covering it with food, I would figure out what's going on underneath, what's going on inside of me. Or when I realized when my kids hit teenage years, that when I felt out of control or fearful that they were going to make a choice that might not be great for them, it happens to all of them, right? But as the parent, that's painful. And so, it was good for me to do that work, to go, okay, so that's the issue. What am I going to do about that? And that led to a whole different area of growth, which we all have an opportunity to do in life. So anyway, I would encourage you to just keep looking and figure out what that why is for you. And the questions in the book will really lead you in that direction to, maybe kind of guide you through a thought process. But I would just encourage you to get with yourself. Get to your quiet place at the end of the day or the beginning of the day and just ask yourself some of those questions. And that will be what makes this a long-term lifetime change for you. And then the cool thing is when you're doing the inside change while your body's changing on the outside, it's a golden thing, because you'll have such a thing to celebrate as your body changes, but you'll know you're doing the stuff on the inside that will keep you from ever having to go through that point again. And on that note too, if any of you have started the program but haven't taken pictures of yourself at the beginning or measurements, I would encourage you to do that. I did not want to do that at all. You don't ever have to show anybody, but as you change, you won't be going back, especially if you do the homework. You won't be going back to that place. And so it is such a celebration to be able to look at, here's where I was a month ago, and here's where I am today. And the number on the scale, it goes down gradually, but, if you measure yourself once a month or something and you compare, that for me was huge, to look at that number and go, wow. I could see that my pants were fitting looser, things like that, but that was really a neat thing for me. So if you're avoiding that, just do it. You'll be happy you did. Does anybody have questions about anything? You are all so quiet tonight. Anybody think of a why they want to share? Yes.
I have a question.
Okay.
Last week, it was suggested that 50 grams of fiber would be great. How do you go about getting 50 grams of fiber?
That did you? The last thing was 50 grams would be plenty.
Yeah, it would be optimal. It would be the, that would be.
Mm-hmm. Are you talking about once you're in maintenance,
I guess.
or while you're on program?
You're getting half
No,
of it in your meal.
like transition into.
Okay. I just want to clarify. So the question was, how can you get enough fiber? Did Dr. Arnold say that 50? Okay, 50 grams would be optimal. So there's different stages along the way. If you're on the 5-in-1 program, you're getting everything that you need in your 5 MetaFast meals and your lean and green during the day. And then when you're in transition, where you are still, the first part of transition, you're still having all of those meals, and then you gradually cut one out and add one thing back. But when you're adding things back, you're adding first more vegetables and then more fruits, and those are going to be good natural fibers that are going to give you a great fiber content. Then as you move further into transition and you're taking more of the MetaFast meals out, Kristen, did you have something on that?
I was just going to say, if you're eating 5 MetaFast meals a day, if you're on the 5-in-1,
Right.
that's 20 grams of fiber right there, because each meal has 4.
Okay, so
Right.
20 grams of
20.
fiber
And
just
then
from the
your-
5
and then-
MetaFast
Then
meals.
your vegetables have fiber too.
Right.
So you may not be getting 50 on the 5-in-1, but you're getting, it's pretty high.
And he may be, and remember, he might have been talking about more maintenance, but
Right.
you're getting a lot of fiber.
You are getting a lot of
Right.
fiber. And you can also do some research, Google some things on what are the highest fiber veggies.
In each category.
Yeah, and your body will talk to you too. There's some people that as they first get going on the program, their bodies are adjusting a lot, and so you may have to adjust or increase the fiber. Some people might take a fiber supplement at that point, and if you're on the program, you always want to make sure those things are sugar-free. But talk to your health coach about those kinds of things too. But I would say, increasing veggies and fruits are your best way to do it if you're in the transition and maintenance part. And the other tool for you is nutrition support is a department at Take Shape for Life. And any of you as clients can call them anytime. And they have nutritionists and dietitians. They have a behavioral scientist on staff. Personal trainers, and they will talk to you about your specific situation. So everybody's body is a little bit different, and so if you're just looking for general information like how could I get mine up to this amount, they might ask you some questions about your specific health and how your body's responding to what you're doing now to indicate whether you might need to be somebody who needs, right up there at 50, or maybe your body's doing fine with how much it's getting now.
And that number's in your quick start guide.
Yeah, the number's in your quick start guide. Is the direct number in the quick start guide?
Oh, wait, I have a quick start guide.
Okay.
On which one?
The nutrition support, there is a direct line to them, and your health coach probably has that. Or you can call the client services number and they'll connect you. That's a really great resource for you.
No, they just have an email,
Okay.
but your health coach can give you the exact number.
Yeah, there's a direct line you can call. And you can also have a 3-way call with your coach too. But yes.
Is it okay to have like 0 water? Because I'm one of these people that have trouble with potassium,
Uh-huh.
and so I've been having the baby spinach every night
Mm-hmm.
because that's got
Right.
lots of potassium. But the 0 water usually helps me with my potassium.
Right. Yes, absolutely. The question was, is
Yeah, no,
0 water.
does.
As long as things don't have any carbs or calories, they're fine. 0 water counts toward your water intake, as does tea, iced tea if you want to have that. As long as you're not putting sweetener or creamer in it, that counts toward your water intake. Other drinks that don't have calories or carbs, like coffee, for example, or some diet drinks, they don't count towards your water, but they are permissible on program. That's not to say they're good for you. But a lot of people have that question. And talk to your health coach about that too. You know,
Well,
that's.
I had cancer, and the doctor, because of my metastasis runs, he
Mhm.
told me, he said that would be, he told me first Propel, and then
Right.
he told me no, I'd go to zero water, because the Propel itself has got calories, but the zero
Mhm.
water is the same thing without the calories.
There is a Propel Zero.
Yeah, that's what I'm calling zero water. That's
Yes,
what
right.
that is.
Yeah, most of the companies that have sports drinks and things have a zero product now too. So just read those labels and make sure that it has zero calories, zero carbs. And also another thing you can do to just raise up your electrolytes, especially the first week on program or the first couple of weeks, sometimes people might find that, you know, their sodium levels go down if they were used to having a lot of sodium. You can just even take a pinch of sea salt and put it in some water, and that will raise your electrolyte levels too. But so will the Propel Zero or any of the other zero waters. And that, or bouillon is a good thing you can have.
Pickles.
Or pickles, yeah. Some of those allowable snacks.
Still pickles, yeah.
But,
Not
you know,
sweet
on the-
pickles, still pickles.
The first week on program too, you know, a lot of times if people are just feeling like they're not feeling really great, it could be a drop in that sodium level. So even just having a dill pickle or a cup of, you can have, I think, up to 3 cups of bouillon a day. And that is a good lift, you know, it just kind of makes you feel good, like something good's going down, and that's helpful. Any other questions? Sally?
Not a question, just a comment. I'm becoming more and more aware that a lot of times when I feel like I'm hungry,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sleep deprived.
Ah.
And I mean, really
Mm-hmm.
becoming really aware of that.
Mhm.
So that's
It's a
my goal,
great-
is to, get to bed when I should be.
That's a great point. Her comment was that when she feels hungry, that it's really that she's discovered she's sleep deprived. And chapter 17 in Dr. Anderson's book talks about sleep and why it is so important. We have lots of people who are on program and they'll say, I didn't lose any weight this week. I don't know what's going on. And after we just talk to them about, making sure they were on plan with eating, the next questions are, how's your stress level and how's your sleep been? And if either of those things are out of whack, which they are for all of us sometimes, it impacts your health. You're a whole person. You can't pluck, your need for sleep out of you and have it all be good. It does impact you. So it's just one of those things to always be shooting for, how do I want to live? What do I want my schedule to be like, as much as I can humanly control it? And then to always be shooting for that. We're working on that at our house, for sure. Helen?
One of the things, one of my clients, and I know a lot of other people probably have the same scenario at times, is when they have their lean and green in the evening,
Mhm.
they feel like they're too full and won't eat that last meal before they go to bed,
Mhm.
and then they wonder when the weight stops.
Eating too late in the day, so an alternative to that, she talked about having that lean and green really late in the day. You can have it any time of the day you want. You can have it for breakfast, lunch. You can divide it in two. Sometimes we have people who say it feels like too much all at once. So you can have half of it at lunchtime with one of your Medifast meals, or in between, just space them out a little bit more. You can be really creative with that. And if you're not sure, then just talk to your health coach and they can say, absolutely, that's a good thing. Another thing, just a side note, is if you're not adding your healthy fat, I felt like, I just shouldn't add that healthy fat because no fat is better, right? And if you don't, your body's going to say, well, then I'm going to hold on to everything because you're not giving me what I need. So having that healthy fat every day is a really important piece, and that can hold up your weight loss if you don't do that as well.
And Helen mentioned if you feel too full at dinner, then some people aren't eating if they have one
Right.
more Medifast meal, and you need to eat that
Right.
anyway. Or again,
Right.
you're not getting enough overall calories, so your body again is going to say, you're not feeding me enough, I'm hanging on to what I have.
Right. So having all
'Cause my
five.
people are like, it's 9 or 10, should I really have it? And I'm like, you really should. You're
Right.
not ready to go, 8 hours without any food
Right.
at all.
So having the 5 Medifast meals every day is important. Even if you had your lean and green late in the day, still get that in. Your body will compensate, and then just try and the next day correct.
Your body repairs itself the most while you sleep,
Right.
so you need that extra food for a long period of time
Right.
while you're sleeping.
Right. Yeah, your body is repairing itself and doing a lot of hard work for you while you're sleeping. Great. Okay. Well, we're going to, if anybody has food to share, we usually, not to share, to trade. You don't have to bring your food to share. I didn't want to share my food one bit when I was on program. My kids would ask me for a bite. I'd go, heck no. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's right. I was not a nice mom.
I only get this.
So if you have anything to share, feel free to, out in the hallway, make connections with people, and then get to know each other too. Share stories, talk to the person beside you and find out where they are and how much they've lost. Maybe somebody's already down 40 pounds and somebody's going to start next week. So we can all be an encouragement to each other in that way.